Welcome to Meet the Village, the program that features brief yet interesting interviews with residents here at Alegria Village. Today, once again, we will introduce two newcomers. Our guest today is Chet Miles.
Hello?
Chet's new home is up in the penthouse, so to speak. He hangs his hat in Parkview Terrace 606.
I spent a lot of time on the elevator.
We will introduce our second guest later in the program. Miss Penny Robar has this amazing collection that we will be speaking about as well. But for now, Chet, welcome to Meet the Village.
Okay, thank you.
Shall we get started?
That's great.
Okay, Chet, what was your move-in date?
September 1st.
Okay, and can you do the math about how long?
About 2.5 months.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, we here at Alegria Village have people come really from all over the country. From whence did you start out on this trek in life?
I was born in Detroit and lived there for till about the 7th grade. And then I moved to Dearborn. I lived over near the Oakwood Hospital and until I got married. Once I got married, I moved out to Woodhaven and spent 47 years.
Oh, you're getting
in
way
Woodhaven.
ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
That's okay. Because, say, you were raised in Dearborn. One question I always ask is, what local high school did you
I
attend?
graduated from Etzel Ford in 1961.
Oh, now high school is behind you. What comes next?
From there, I went to Henry Ford Community College, and I eventually did graduate from there, but it was 15 years later. So that's another story.
Yes, and you told it to me before. He says books weren't his thing. But that's fair enough. If book learning was not your thing, what is?
After leaving Henry Ford, I ended up with a program for toolmaker apprenticeship program with Chrysler Corporation.
Oh, terrific. Was that the program that got you started with a career at Chrysler?
Yes, I spent 38 years with Chrysler. I was at the Trenton Engine Plant all 38 years.
Okay. And what did you do on this apprenticeship?
The apprenticeship program was learning to be a toolmaker. After I was a toolmaker for a couple years, I ended up going on supervision.
Supervision, okay, and got involved in other things. Give us some examples of the things you handled throughout your career.
Well, mostly it was managing people. I had the trade as a toolmaker, but as a foreman or a supervisor or area manager or superintendent, I was managing people. And then the last 12 years that I was there, they moved me into engineering. I was the chief facilities engineering manager for 12 years until I retired.
Well, that's very, very impressive. Now, did you say you spent 38 years at Chrysler?
Yes.
Okay. What year was that you retired?
I retired in February of 2001.
Okay, but life goes on.
Yes, it does.
What happens after February of 2001?
Okay, then I knew that when I retired, I was going to be going and doing volunteer work at our church, Inner City Baptist Church in Allen Park. And so I retired on Thursday at Chrysler, and I started working at the church on Friday.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the church, because it's obviously important to you.
Yes, it is. It's a church in Allen Park, just on Allen Road, just beyond the Thunderbolt. And it's a good-sized church. We have a church, an elementary school, a high school, and a seminary. We had a bookstore across the street, but bookstores ended up going out of business. So, but it is a big complex, and we have a number of people, and so there's
About how many members?
We probably have we don't really count members. We count people that are actively attending.
I'll go with that.
And so that's about 750.
Sounds great. Now, was your technical background used at the church?
Oh, yes. As a toolmaker supervisor, I was managing electricians, millwrights, pipe fitters, and so all of those things have come in extremely handy as I've been working and repairing boilers and electrical items, and just got done changing a hot water tank, so a 75-gallon hot water tank.
Was the water running when, was it a big leak when you had
No,
to change?
it was a small leak.
It was a small leak. Well,
yeah.
that's the time to do it.
Yes.
Don't wait for the big leak.
For sure.
Okay. Okay. Obviously, you love the church and it keeps you busy. But what do you do for fun?
Well, I do a number of things. I like to play golf. I've had some health issues recently, and that slowed down a little bit. I like to travel, and have had a number of.
Speaking of traveling, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I understand you've been on some missionary trips going back with the church.
Yes.
Tell us about those. I don't want to lose those.
Those are for a number of years, and once COVID came, we had to slow that down. But we were taking members of the church, usually about 10 or 12 members of the church, for a week or 2 weeks to go and to help our missionaries on the foreign field.
Well, what foreign fields? Tell us.
Well, I've been to Mexico 9 times. I've been to China 3 times. Been to Africa 4 times, and Hungary once.
Oh.
So, and I've been to Scotland and to Ireland.
Ireland?
But those weren't missionary trips. Those were golf trips.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Okay. But what about traveling for fun? I mean, just you out enjoying yourself, not the mission work.
Well, that's sort of a funny story. I've always liked motorcycles. When I was young, my friend had a motorcycle, and we used to travel on that. Well, every time I would talk to my wife about a motorcycle, she would list off 10 reasons why I shouldn't have a motorcycle. And she was right. I mean, I had responsibilities, and they are dangerous. And so I never had a motorcycle until after she passed. After she passed, then I ended up with a motorcycle. And since that time, I put over 100,000 miles on a motorcycle.
Okay, now where did you ride? Where's the optimum places where you would ride?
I've been to California 3 times, Colorado a number of times. We went to Newfoundland once. Been down south a number of times. There's a sort of special motorcycle trail down there called the Dragon Tail. The Dragon Tail goes from Tennessee up into North Carolina, and it runs along the mountain ridge tops. It's 11 miles long. There are no driveways, no houses, no traffic lights.
Sounds ideal.
And it has 318 turns in that 11 miles. So it's uphill, downhill. And it's something that's a lot of fun to ride.
Okay, now it's obvious I've talked to Chet before, and he told me about the Tree of Shame in North Carolina. Please tell our audience about the Tree of Shame.
At the North Carolina end of the trail, they have a motorcycle motel, and they have a big oak tree down there. I thank goodness I don't have any parts hanging on that tree, but anybody that crashes and gets in an accident can take their motorcycle parts that are knocked off of their machine and hang up in a tree. So you may see radiators or handlebars or sun visors, but that's the Tree of Shame.
Okay.
And it's not good that you have parts in that tree.
Okay, well, we've been really focusing on the Tree of Shame. I like that. Now, you mentioned your wife, but she obviously has died, you mentioned.
Sure.
So what about any other family members?
I have a son and a daughter. My son lives in Woodhaven and is currently the fire chief in the city of Woodhaven. And he has
Quite an accomplishment.
Yes, it is. So he has two children. They are both, one's married, one's getting married tomorrow afternoon.
Ooh,
And
you got a wedding to go to.
I have a wedding to go to. So, and I have a daughter that lives in Allen Park. And she works at the church in the business office.
Okay, now moving right along with the time scheme here. Where did you live before coming to Alegria Village?
Like I said before, I lived for 47 years in Woodhaven, where I was a firefighter for 14 of those years.
Oh,
as a-
volunteer
as a
firefighter.
volunteer.
Yeah, oh, well, terrific.
And,
Volunteer man here.
Yeah. And then from there, I moved to Riverview, and for the last 10 years, I was in a condo in Riverview.
Okay, all sounds well and good, but what made you consider senior living?
Well, I knew that I love my children, and we get along very well. But they have lives too, and so I knew that I didn't want to interfere with their lives. So 10 years ago, when I moved to Riverview, I said at that time, my next move will be to independent living.
Okay.
So I've known that for 10 years, and
Okay.
and with my health issues, this was the time that I decided I needed to go, and they were very helpful.
Okay,
And,
well, what brought you to specifically to Alegria?
Well, originally I was going to, I had talked about 10 years ago, going to the Maple Heights, which is right next door to our
To your
our
church. That would have been convenient, yeah.
Yes, and but when I checked in there, they had deteriorated. They weren't near the size of this. They didn't have the things to do, and so I looked around here at a number of facilities and came with a conclusion that this was the place for me to be.
Okay, so you actually came and looked it over and made your own decisions?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. Yeah, children weren't deciding for you.
No.
Okay,
They were happy that I was going to do that, and they went along with it fine.
Uh-huh.
But it was my decision.
okay. Now that you've been here for 3 months, what's your impression of your home and your neighbors and all of that?
Well, somebody asked me that question the other day, and I said, well, it meets all the boxes. I says, the food is good. I enjoy the food, but you can tell that I enjoy food all the time. The people are very, very friendly. I've been able to meet a number of people, get involved in some of the things, but still working at the church, I haven't been involved as much as I hope to be in the future. And but it meets all the boxes. So.
Meets all the boxes. Well, how about the affordability factor?
I think the affordability is it's very doable for me. I've looked around, and for the bang for the buck that we get here, I'm very impressed with it, and so I'm happy.
You're
with it.
happy, okay. How did the move-in go?
Moving was good. I really wasn't up to speed when we were moving, so my kids did the majority of the moving.
Okay.
I came from a 3-bedroom, 3,400 square foot condo, so there were a lot of things that I had to get rid of and sell. But we made
Welcome to the club. We've all had to do that.
So I haven't sold my motorcycle yet, and
Well, where do you house it?
I house it at the church.
Oh, at
we
the
have a storage
church,
building over
okay.
there that
It's not in your apartment.
No, it's not. I didn't bring it up the elevator.
So you're obviously happy with your apartment.
Yes, I am.
Well, it sounds like you are doing so well. You're the perfect newcomer. And do you have any comments or about anything at all before we sign off?
No, I don't. I don't think so. Like I say, I enjoy being here, and I'm looking forward to meeting more and more people. I'm would like to get a little more involved with the golf simulator. I haven't taken that on yet.
Okay, you're going to need some training for that before they'll
Yes,
let you
right.
use it.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'll find out who you have to contact on that.
So I talked to Christian.
Oh, Christian knows everything.
And so she's going to spend some time.
Oh, Kristen.
Yeah, Kristen.
Okay, Kristen. We've got Kristen and Christian.
No,
Okay.
Kristen.
Understand, everyone has trouble keeping those two apart. Okay.
So.
All right. Well, Chet, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you for coming.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. It has been a very, very pleasurable chat.
Okay.
I have enjoyed it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
now,
you.
out there, our TV audience, please stay with us. You'll want to meet our second guest. Trust me, you'll find Miss Penny Robert very interesting. We will be talking about her and her massive collection.
I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us, but try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same. But you have excuses because you're old, so it's okay.
Listening is a form of love. Find ways to support your kids at sounditouttogether.org.
I welcome you to part 2 of today's broadcast of Meet the Village. Today, our second guest is Penny Robert. Penny is a newbie, which is what we call new residents that have been with us for less than 1 year. Now calling Parkview Terrace 405 her new home, neighbors in PT, and particularly on the 4th floor, now have an additional friendly and smiling resident among their ranks. Okay, welcome to Meet the Village, Penny.
Thank you.
This is where friends and neighbors will be introduced not only to you, but to that collection of yours. More about that later on. How about we get started?
Okay.
Okay. Are you a Michigander or do you come from some far-flung dramatic place?
I was an original Michigander, and then I moved to Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh.
And I was there for 35 years.
Okay. Since you started out as a local here, were you here for high school?
Yes.
Okay, that's what we want to know. What local high school did you attend?
Robichaud High School, which is in Dearborn Heights, and it still exists as far as I know.
Okay, well, gee, I've never even heard of Robichaud High School. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But could you tell us a little about your alma mater?
Yeah, it was just, it was fairly new. I graduated in 67. The first graduating class was in 64. And that was my sister's year. She was the first graduating class. And it was just a really nice high school to go to. And it was we are right next to Roosevelt, what used to be the high school. It's Roosevelt Junior High.
Okay.
I don't know now, but.
Okay, it's probably all different. Everything has changed.
Yeah.
Okay, as a student of Robichaud, did you get involved in any special activities that might interest our audience?
Well, I used to, I was president of the Future Teachers Association, and I played in the band, and that was mostly the stuff that I got into. You know, I was in the marching band.
The marching band, and you were also a cheerleader is what
Oh, yeah.
I
Oh,
can see you
geez.
in a cute little outfit,
Yeah.
You're going through all these gyrations.
Yeah, and
Do you have any pictures of yourself back from those? Oh, that's
No.
a shame.
I
That's an
know.
absolute shame. Okay, well, what did you do after high school?
Well, Pete and I were already engaged. I got engaged to my husband when I was 16.
Oh, my.
And so when I got out of high school, he was in Vietnam. And so I went to work for Packer Food Sales, which was in downtown Detroit, as an
okay.
executive secretary to the food buyer. And that was my main job until he came back from Vietnam and we got married, and then we moved.
And what year did you marry?
We married in 1968,
Okay.
and I graduated in 67. So
he came back, he was in the Army, right?
yes, he was in the Army.
Okay. And how long was Pete in the Army?
He was in for 3 years.
Okay. And he served in what capacity?
He was a supply sergeant.
Oh, I know it well.
And his first duty was at Selfridge Air Force Base.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he picked that so he could still live at home.
Okay, I got you.
And then after we married, he got transferred out to California.
Mm-hmm.
And he was at the Cabrillo Beach Army outfit there.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in supply out there as well.
Right. That once you're into, you got your MO, you just stick with it.
Yeah.
MOS. Okay, I got to keep my services straight. Okay. All right. And then what happened next?
Okay, after we were in California for about 5 months, we moved to Reno. And he worked at UNR, which is the college up there. And he was working with the ROTC.
ROTC, Army ROTC.
The Army ROTC, yes. And he also was a supply sergeant for that.
Okay, so now he's out of the Army. What happens next?
We've come back to Michigan. And he gets a job. His first job was at Eastern Airlines. And he stayed there for a few months, and then he got laid off when the winter time came.
What did he do at Eastern?
Luggage handler.
Yeah,
That's
and
pretty much what he did his whole career.
okay, but you once told me he was selling space for freight and things.
Oh yeah, that was his second job. And after he left Eastern Airlines, then he got in with Aeromexico, and he used to do all the selling of areas for freight.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of long lunches and
Yeah.
that sort of
There's
stuff.
nothing wrong with being a luggage handler, but you had told me he did these other jobs, and I
Exactly.
think that is
Yeah.
important. Well, he's doing all of that. What are you doing in the meantime?
Staying at home with our son.
Oh, and evidently you had a son.
Yes.
And his name is?
Matthew.
Oh,
And he lives here in Dearborn Heights.
okay.
In fact, he lives in his dad's mother's house.
Oh,
Pete grew up in that house from 1960 till 65 when
okay.
he joined the
Okay,
service.
so he's with Eastern. What happened in 1977?
We decided to take the lunch and move to Las Vegas.
A big town.
Yeah, it was small then. We
Well, smaller, yes.
yeah. Oh, it was when we moved there. It was only 160,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
When we left there, it was over 2 million.
Okay, I believe
So
that.
it really grew up around us. But we stayed there, and
And he worked for?
he worked for Hughes Air West Airline. That's where he got his job. And he also worked at a 7-Eleven store. Because when he first started with Hughes, they only hired him part-time.
Okay.
And so then he got a full-time job at 7-Eleven and worked the midnight shift.
Okay, I've heard Eastern Airlines, Hughes Air West, Aeromexico. Are there any other major air carriers in your family history?
Well, he just kind of followed Hughes Air West because it was sold several times. It became Republic, then it became Northwest Airlines, and then it became Delta, which he actually retired from Delta, although he never worked for Delta.
Okay.
So,
See, there are all sorts of airlines there. That's,
oh yeah,
all right.
and, you know, we're kind of an airline family. My mom
I
worked
think
for
so.
Delta Airlines,
Yeah.
and
Okay, when did Michigan re-enter the picture?
well, we moved back here in 1987 after Matt graduated from high school because Pete had transferred here in '85 because they had that's when Republic took over and they kind of cut down a lot of flights and stuff in Vegas. So he moved here in '85. We didn't want to pull Matt out of school, so Matt and I moved out here in '87.
Okay.
We stayed here 1 year, and I said, find me someplace warm to live. So then we moved to LA for 5 years.
Okay.
and he
yeah.
worked at LAX.
Yeah. Yeah, airlines will get you moving just like the military does. You just keep
Absolutely.
going everywhere.
That's what I thought of too.
Okay, you moved in here alone. What happened to Pete?
Pete passed away. In fact, it's going to be 1 year tomorrow. And he had some medical problems, and he had a stroke, and he just went to sleep one day and never woke up.
Oh, well, it was peaceful at least.
And then I was having trouble. I had taken a bad fall, and I couldn't really, I broke my pelvis in January. And I needed somebody to come and live with me for 4 months because I couldn't do anything.
Okay.
So then we just started looking. I had a senior advocate in Vegas, and she found me this because it was close to our son.
Okay. Okay, well, that's all good, and we'll continue on with that. But let's just back up a little bit. I think, how about that collection of yours? I promised people we're
My
going to talk
2,000 movies.
Well, that, yeah. Okay, she's let it out of the bag, how many. But I've been to Penny's apartment, and I need to tell you, there are 6 bookcases, each 6 foot tall, 3 feet wide, and they're just full with DVDs.
Yeah.
There's no place to put any more. So about how many do you think are up there?
A little over 2,000.
The movie capital of Alegria Village.
Well, and then I have the 2 bookcases in the bedroom that are full of series.
Okay. Yeah, we
Yeah.
discussed that as well. Yeah. When did this all start? Tell me the history of this.
Oh, gee. My husband and I have always enjoyed movies. So when we first moved to Las Vegas in '77, we bought Betamax, which didn't last very long.
I know the term, but I don't even know what that means.
It's just like a VCR, but the tapes were smaller than a VHS.
Okay.
And but it just didn't catch on. I don't know why. The picture on those were great. So then we graduated to a VHS, and then we graduated to a humongous laser disc. They looked like, if you've never seen one, the movies look like it's on a album.
LP
An
record?
LP.
Yeah, okay.
That's how big these were.
Okay.
And you always had to flip the sides over.
Oh, to see the rest of it. Okay.
So then when CDs started coming out is when we really started collecting a lot.
Right.
We had some movies, but we just not like anything we have
Okay,
now.
let's get on to the best of them all. What are your favorite movies?
Well, I like a lot of the old days, and I like feel-good movies. So Bringing Up Baby with Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant is,
Baby's a cat, a rather large cat.
yeah, it's a leopard. And they sing to it all the time. And then some of my other ones, one of them with Cary Grant also is Arsenic and Old Lace.
Which is the zaniest movie.
Oh, yeah.
It is just crazy, and it's wonderful.
And then I would say The Day After Tomorrow with Dennis Quaid, and Air Force One with Harrison Ford.
Oh, yes, that's a good one.
Those are probably my go-to movies. And Ever After with Drew Barrymore.
Okay.
Those are when I'm kind of in a need to feel good movie, I grab one of those and throw it in.
Now, Penny has more than one collection. Now, if you'll zoom in on her shirt there, that is a koala bear. Tell us about your koala bear collection.
Well, I left most of it in Las Vegas. I had 5 garbage bags that I packed up when we were having the yard sale. And that's how many stuffed koala bears I had. And I brought as many as I could with me, which it wasn't very many. But it started out, a friend of mine when I worked in the jewelry store, she bought me this little koala bear. And I just loved it. So then everybody started buying me koala bears for everything. So I have koala bear. I even have pants with koala bears on them.
gee, okay.
I should have put those on today.
Well, you've got shoes with koala bears
yes.
on them, yeah.
Every time I find something with koala bears, I buy it usually.
Okay. All right, that sounds great. So she's got 2 great collections, DVDs and then koala bears. Okay. Why did you consider senior living?
Well, after I broke my pelvis in January of last year, well, actually this year, I just had a hard time getting around, and we lived in quite a large house. We lived in a 2,500 square foot house, but we had a 9-car garage. So it was a lot of upkeep and everything. So I just decided that I needed to get something to simplify a little bit.
Okay.
And my senior advocate in Las Vegas that would come to my house, she found me this place.
Okay.
And I never even saw it till I moved in. My son came and looked at it, and he put his stamp of approval on it. So that's how I got here.
Any particular reasons why Alegria was chosen versus other facilities in the area?
Actually, this was the only one we looked at, or he looked at.
Oh, okay.
Just because it had everything that I needed. I love the fact that it had a bank, so I wasn't, because I can't drive anymore. So
And the clinic?
I haven't even seen the clinic. I'm sorry.
I'll take you down there sometime.
Yeah, Brian he's going to take me down there.
Okay.
But but it just had everything. Everybody here, after I got here, has been so friendly. It's been wonderful. And the food's not too bad, you know.
Everyone's fussy about food one way or another. Okay, did you get to look at the apartment before you moved in?
Nope. Matt looked at it for me, and my senior advocate called, and we got it all set up over the phone. And then when my friend drove out the movies for me, he set up my TV and the bed. So when I came the next day after he got here, I'd have a place to sleep and watch TV. And
Okay, but you haven't said anything about acquiring furniture. You came in on an airplane.
right, I had no furniture for a long time.
So what happened?
Well, I got some stuff at the treasure chest downstairs, and then I ordered some furniture from Ashley. I ordered a dresser. Sorry, that's
Yeah.
my talking watch that talks all on its own. Yeah, I went to Ashley Furniture, and I got a love seat, and I was going to buy a chair, but I ended up not getting it because I got a rocking chair from the treasure chest, which I just dearly
Well, you can't
love.
buy everything. The apartments aren't that large.
No.
So anyway, you have to make decisions.
Yeah, so I have, and I wanted a couch because I do like to lay down to watch movies at night.
All right. Now, you've been here only a few months. What are your impressions of your new home?
Actually, I was very skeptical at first, but it's pretty comfortable, and I've made a lot of friends already. And everybody's so friendly. I just love it. And the apartment's big enough for what I need, and it's just, I really enjoy it here. Of course,
Well-
I'd move to Las Vegas in a heartbeat if I could, but I can't. So
We are going into the colder season again.
yes, yeah.
But I've never known the heat to go off, so I think you'll be just fine.
Yeah, well, when I first moved here, I didn't have any heat for 5 months.
Okay. Being a friendly place was a selling point for you. Do you have any comments to make about anything at all before we sign off?
Just, I'm a picky eater. I find something to eat. So to me, that was a big plus. I know that sounds petty, but, when you're so picky about what you eat, it's bad. But everything else has been really great here.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Well, Penny, this has been a real pleasure.
It's been fun.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for sharing your story. And I think we'll be hearing a great deal more about you and your collections. And for you, our audience, until next time, for Community Television, I'm Michaeline Larson.